Hi, let us understand the internals of ArgoCD. ArgoCD is made of a number of components built internally to manage it efficiently and effectively. Let's assume I do have the ArgoCD installed. For the easier management, every application that is deployed or managed through ArgoCD, it's called an application. And for the application being managed through ArgoCD, it will have the source target, that's a Git repository from where it will be trying to manage the Kubernetes workload to be in sync. So every application will have its own Git repository. We can have the other sources like local source and different configurations we can have. As of now, let's assume it to be a GitHub repository. And whatever the definition that we have as a part of the GitHub repository, the application will make sure that's available as a part of the cluster that is configured. The Kubernetes cluster that is configured, and the cluster could be the same cluster where ArgoCD is running. So we have a number of applications, and the configuration of the application will be managed by ArgoCD. And all the applications can be grouped together, and that's called as a project. Like this, I can have n number of projects. So here I have a project with two applications. Like this, I can have n number of projects being managed by the ArgoCD. And each project can have a number of applications. Along with this, ArgoCD can also manage the repositories with which the applications being managed by ArgoCD can connect to. So this repositories configuration, when it is having a number of repositories in terms of the URL, user ID, password, authentication mechanism, everything will be configured. Same way, we do have management of the certificates and the other details for authentication and security purpose. Now with all this, I need a user to manage the ArgoCD and an interface to manage the ArgoCD. The interface provided by ArgoCD, that is two different mechanisms available. One is command line interface, another one through WebUI. To access the ArgoCD through these interfaces, there is a command line interface, WebUI. We can have a number of users, and that's being managed by the user management. And the users can be configured to have or part of specific roles, and roles will have a number of permissions. Different permissions like what repository that particular user can do or what operation they can do within the cluster in terms of creating a project or deleting a project. All such configurations can be done as a part of the permissions. In summary, all these three together, it's called RBAC, role based access control. And these applications can be created using different tools like Helm, Customize, JSONet, and I can have custom plugin as well. So this will be used while creating the applications. So these are all the internals of ArgoCD, and this is how ArgoCD is internally configured or designed. So in a quick summary, ArgoCD is made of n number of components. The first and primary thing is for the application management. Application is nothing but a group of Kubernetes workloads, and all the applications can be configured or grouped together as a project, and we can manage n number of projects. The reason for grouping the application as a project is all similar applications will be grouped under a project where I can control what that particular project can do in terms of who are all the users who can manage it, what are all the repositories, and what are all the Kubernetes cluster they can connect to. All such configurations can be done against the project. And we do have the interface to interact with ArgoCD through command line interface and WebUI. To access the command line interface and WebUI, we need the users, and internally it has a user management where we can define the roles and what are all permissions that roles can have and what are all the roles the user can play. All such configurations can be done. In simple terms, RBAC, role based access control, can be done. And internally we can manage the repositories, that is what are all the repositories that application can connect to and how to connect with. The similar way we can have the details for the certificates also, that is how to authenticate with the repositories and the other Kubernetes cluster. The certificates and authentication mechanism will be managed. And to create the applications, various tools like Helm, Customize, JSONet can also be configured and used within ArgoCD. As a part of this particular course, we will be learning about all these components and how to manage them, how to configure within ArgoCD.